So, Michael, you're the co-founder of Facet and Indelible Labs, which is focused on building censorship-resistant roll-up infrastructure and creator tools for fully on-chain NFT projects. So I was reading, I think you wrote a good post for OpenSea maybe last week. I was reading through, and yeah, it kind of looks like you got pulled into crypto by chain runners, and really this idea of fully on-chain art, which eventually led you to starting Indelible Labs and building no-code tools for artists who want to do something similar. So I'm curious what it was about on-chain art and maybe CCO that kind of hooked you on the premise of crypto.
Yeah, I mean, I it was just the whole vibe of the community and everything. I mean, it was my first NFT, so who knows if I would have started somewhere else, right? But it was where I started, and I just fell in love with the idea of something that can last forever on chain, and it just like was like, whoa. Like my business partner at the time, when I was running a software agency, was showing me like, hey, we should get into this NFT thing, and we already missed Bitcoin. Womp womp. Little did we know. But anyways, like, yeah, he was like, we should get into this NFT thing. And then we were like, well, I wonder if there are any, as we were looking into it, we were saying like, a lot of them just pointed to like some URL somewhere else. And we're like, I wonder if any of these like use like base 64 encoding, and like we were already like kind of thinking of like how it could exist like on the contract. And uh we we realized we did not create that idea. They existed. And so I guess, yeah, like chain runners, I just like kind of wind up there, I guess, looking back in hindsight. We found it because we were looking through different ones, and that was the first one we found that was on chain. We found an article that someone wrote talking about it, and I think that's how we landed on it. And so yeah, I think it was just like, we're in tech, we had a software agency, we're building stuff. We liked the idea of something that you could like just put somewhere and it exists forever as software engineers. Uh, we put things somewhere and we have to pay monthly bills for it to exist. And it's like really kind of crazy to think like I could build something and like in like 100 years from now someone could like access it. And that was just like mind blowing. So we got into that community, and then we started like learning more about CC0. And I had like done some stuff for oh gosh, what is it? Before this time there was like this like zero, like kind of like CC0 images. It's like sub splash or something, like I
Oh,
can't remember.
Unsplash.
Unsplash, yeah. Unsplash. I like posted some photos on there, and so I was kind of like familiar with that like idea, and used it a lot too. But
I
yeah,
mean,
anyways,
I
that's how we got started.
I'd had a blog back in the day, and I did not maintain it at all. And now I'm just like, I'd love to at least have that treasure chest that I could open up and just see how fucking stupid I was back then, and maybe I have seen some insights in there. Okay, so
Yeah.
but unstoppable L2s in Facet, like
Yeah.
what is first? Maybe we can just start off with like, what do you mean by unstoppable L2s? I'm assuming you're
Sure.
positioning against stoppable L2s, and then maybe give us what you're building in Facet.
Yeah, naturally, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, basically, we're positioning ourselves against every L2 except ourselves, since right now all of them can be stopped. And so kind of going back though, my co-founder at Facet, we were both like, I met him after I'd started building Indelible. He was also into the on-chain province, putting things somewhere that exists forever. Kind of like, yeah, just not, creating without the fear of being censored or shut down by a corporation that is trying to destroy your life or whatever it is. He's had some past experiences with that, and so he's really passionate about this. We met, and we just saw the whole trend with L2s, which we love L2s. We like the idea of being able to scale Ethereum. We just did not like the direction that it was going, where we're basically handing over the keys to the kingdom to just a bunch of corporations that can literally rug us most of the time without a notice. Some of them are nice enough to give us a 30-day exit window. And that's when you do that, if you're like providing a 30-day exit window, you're the big dog. That's Vitalik is like, worshiping you at that point. And that's for us, that's like not enough. Like there should not be an exit window. Like you should not be able to just with a
So, okay, but
button.
what are the challenges though? Because I think everybody wants that, but clearly there's
Yeah, of
trade-offs in
course.
that pursuit.
No, of course, and I'm being like, I guess, a little facetious, but uh,
Facetious.
yeah, exactly. Um, my problem is that like I don't think people want to shut these down and like rug, but they do happen. And when you create the ability for it to happen, and you have corporations that are like profiting off of these L2s, as soon as they become unprofitable, or the board of directors decides to go a different direction, or government tells the corporation because they're publicly traded or whatever it is that like they can't do something, like what are they going to do? They can't. They're not going to just keep it going forever. Um,
So
but Ethereum,
how do you actually build an unstoppable L2? And like what are the trade-offs that others are choosing not to make?
Well, for one, we don't make any money on it. So that's a big trade-off. Right out of the gate, the way we designed it is we are not like the gatekeepers for the transactions, right? So if you create a transaction, you're posting it to the L2 yourself through Ethereum in call data. Um, and so we can't do anything about it. Therefore, we can't make gas money off of all these transactions, which is what all the L2s do. That's one. The other is, um, I mean, that would be the main one. The other one is existing L2s have like a way to force transactions in, but even those go like basically those go through contracts. Contracts can be upgraded. They can shut that down. The big issue is just everything going through this contract on the L1 that can be upgraded, shut down at any time. And so we don't have a contract on the L1. Everything is protocol, the protocol interpreting, reading these transactions that are being posted to the L1 and building the state, which is basically what happens already on these other L2s, except all these transactions are either being posted by the L2 to the L1 through blobs, or forced inclusions going through the L1 smart contract, and so yeah. But the big issue is like if you want to do it this way, you're not going to make any money.
That is a big issue, indeed.
Yeah, it's a big issue.
So, okay, well, how do you guys
But
make money? Like, how are you doing this?
The reason we're doing it is because we want to provide a way for people to do cheap computation on Ethereum that can last forever. That is a competitor to these. It's not going to be as cheap, but it's going to be way cheaper than Ethereum. It's going to be like 1/10 or more of the cost. So way cheaper, especially if you're wanting to do really cool on-chain stuff and you're wanting to put a ton of data on the blockchain. It's gonna be way cheaper. Like you could get even to like 2% the cost. So still like huge savings. But yeah, we're not going to be able to compete out of the gate right now, at least, with corporations that are like processing all these transactions on their AWS servers, right?
Okay,
Like,
so then that means you probably see some unique opportunities here. Like there's going to be a specific type of app or project that launches on Facet. I'm curious if you could give us some insight into like what that sweet spot for you guys is, or maybe some of the early things that are being built there.
yeah. So for me, I mean, coming from the on-chain NFT space, like I see it as like the sweet spot for like on-chain NFTs. But basically anything that you want to exist on-chain and you don't want to have to worry about a 30-day exit window or the cost of putting it on Ethereum L1, which a lot of people in my community do. They just They just like, okay, I'm just gonna just stick with the L1, and the L1 to gas costs are pretty low right now. But as low as the L1 can get, as that gas gets lower and lower, Facet's gas is still going to be like a tenth or 5% of that. So it's just going to keep getting cheaper as the L1s gets cheaper. So that's still good for us. But yeah, that's what I think. Basically, things that you want to exist forever, things that you don't want to be censored, but you still want to have a low cost platform. So I mean, that could be trading tokens. Because Facet is what's called like a based rollup, which basically means that the L1 sequences the transactions. Because of that, our transaction times are like basically mirroring the L1, and so we're stuck with L1 gas or L1 block times. And so, but 12 seconds, I feel like 12 seconds is still pretty fast, but it could be faster. We're not going to be able to compete unless we get, there are some other ways that we could compete there. But
Yeah,
we're not worried about it right now.
I'm curious how you think about the market demand for something like this. It seems like, in the world we exist in today, lots of people are very fine with either, trusting Coinbase or sacrificing trust for the distribution ecosystem advantages that these bigger companies bring. So
it's fun to pretend that everything's going to be okay. It's not it is not fun to be the guy going into a party telling people, hey, you shouldn't be doing this is like, you're gonna regret this when you're older. Like it's like a grumpy old man or something. Like, no one wants to get insurance. Most of the time I only get insurance because I'm forced to get insurance by the government. Like, if I wasn't forced to get insurance, I probably wouldn't have insurance on a lot of things. I mean, that's just the way that we are. I'm also an eternal optimist. So I think a lot of people like that. And I think that that's probably why most people aren't going to realize there are big issues until some really big L2 start shutting down.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're also seeing a trend of, there being people wanting to launch their protocol token on L1 and then sort of, bridging or cross-chain messaging those into the other networks versus, say, launching something on an L2 like base. And I think there is a lack of understanding in many builders about the limitations that come from launching an asset natively on an L2 and the restrictions that kind of come from it. So I think the conversation is definitely there. I think it is sort of this interesting niche of a niche that you play in, where it's not only the right place for a provenance and longevity and trust, security, etc., but then there's also a need for more media or content or computation that goes along with it. So yeah, I think it's an interesting category to be building in. You guys built something called Beamer as well. Is that right? Am I Beamer bot?
It's like a fun little project I was working on. I'm working on. It's basically with the whole bots thing taking off, I was like, man, everything's shifting tokens, like tokenize this, tokenize that. I want to do something where it's like NFTs, because I'm like this NFT guy. And everyone hates NFTs, and I'm like, no, dude, like I'm gonna bring NFTs back, dude. So I built this. People thought it was probably not a great move. They were like, yeah, you should probably make it where it's like ERC20s with liquidity and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the coining. I'm not a big fan of the coining everything movement. And I think NFTs is in a lot of cases, a better trade-off, because with an NFT, you're not giving someone something that they can just like dump into a pool, and there's no expectation to do that either. And with like coining all these content, most of them their liquidity pools are basically zero anyways. And so you're like giving someone a token with like no liquidity in pool. And I just feel like it's just not a good experience versus actually getting like a collectible. I don't know. That's my opinion. I feel like collecting these contents as NFTs is it's just a different type of medium that fits
All right,
it
brother.
better
But
in my
what
opinion. But
is Beamer? You gotta tell us what it is.
yeah,
here.
yeah. So, okay, sorry. So yeah, so Beamer is just basically this bot on X that allows you to collect NFTs from X posts. So an X post that's like an image, you can just be like, hey, Beamer, collect this for me. It's going to turn that into a collectible NFT, and it's going to like immediately send that person 0.001 ETH. And then the creator of the post can also get it more complicated. They could do collections or like custom prices or whatever, but just a standard X post can be collected, and you just have to tag the bot, and it uses this similar thing that BankerBot does, which is Privy under the hood to create wallets for everyone's X accounts, and you just got to fund that wallet some ETH, and then you can just go around collecting posts, and that's for me a really nice way of appreciating people's art on X with a really simple flow of just like collecting it, giving them, it's like tipping almost. You're just like giving them like 0.001 ETH. You get kind of something back that says you tipped it, which is like this NFT. But it's more than that. You can do full on collections and stuff too.
Are you seeing some adoption of that tool?
Yeah, we've had a decent amount of people use it. I'm just getting feedback right now. We'll see where it goes. Yeah, but a lot of people that initially see it and hear the idea are like, oh, that's pretty cool. And so I'm just trying to figure out where it could how this could grow into something still. But it's like our way of one of our ways of like onboarding people into Facet, because it's something that you don't have to worry about what chain it's on, and they're NFTs and they'll last forever because it's on Facet. So
Amazing, Michael. Thanks for hopping on with us today, man. Giving us the overview of Facet. I think I think I had a similar moment around art blocks, where I was like, oh, generative and on chain and lasts forever. So and it's cool to see the trend line through what you're interested in, sort of from day one here and onto your building
absolutely.
Facet. Wish you all the best in your endeavors, my friend.
Good talking to you guys. Have a good
Cheers.
one.
Peace,
Bye.
man.